The president of Tunisia um, said something that has caused a lot of havoc in Tunisia, and I just want to read something here. This is what is written here. Tunisia's president Kais Saied has told a meeting of security officials that migrants are part of a wider campaign to challenge the demographic makeup of the country and make it purely African. The term even purely African has issues that I'll come to it shortly. Now, first of all, welcome to Global Leadership Perspective, and I'm excited to have this recording and bring a few thoughts to us, especially where leadership is concerned. Though unfortunately, we have to talk on a subject that is saddening, that is not exciting. And I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel if you've not subscribed, and so that this message could be able to reach many people as possible. Now, back to the issue of Tunisia. As we all know, Tunisia is, of course, in the northern Africa, and the president of Tunisia, Mr. Said, he recently came and said that he has discovered, and this is something that he was told out of the advice of the security team of the country, that the African, especially from the sub-Sahara region, are plotting or rather they're conspiring with the people who do not like his leadership, and they want to ensure that the entire of Tunisia is purely African. And first of all, I have an issue even with the wording of that statement before we begin to look at it. Tunisia, of course, is a country in Africa, meaning we need to begin from the point that they are Africans. Unless otherwise, they are insinuating that by the virtue that they are Arab in nature, then they are not Africans, by the virtue that they are part of Africa geographically. But by the virtue that they are part of Africa geographically, regardless of the culture, regardless of the skin color, and regardless of the language, and regardless of the religion, they are African. And good example, if you meet an African American and you meet a white American, and you ask both of them where they belong, they will definitely tell you that they are Americans. Though at the back of the mind, somebody know, yes, you're an American, but this is your inclination and this is the inclination, but that does not delete the fact that they are all Americans. And so Tunisia are Africans, and regardless of a few things at play. And maybe for us to get this, maybe we need to even understand briefly the background of Tunisia, how they found even themselves in Africa, because they are not originally from Africa. Themselves, they are migrant who came to this particular region from other part of the world, and then they, of course, they found the indigenous people there, and over time, over years, they were able to take over the space. And maybe assuming what the president is telling us is right, and which I disagree, then they knew how they took over the land those many years back, and so it could be a fear that they know this is also a possibility, but for me that it does not carry water, does not carry sufficient weight. So This statement, in my own view, when I look at it in the context of leadership, it is not deserving. It is indeed saddening to have a president of a country such as Tunisia who can come out boldly, daylight, to make such a statement that at the end of the day ends up profiling a section of the people of Africa, for the people who are coming from the Saharan region. And so that statement alone, from the president, the leader who is supposed to take responsibility and unite everybody in the country, has caused a lot of havoc, has caused the pain of these people from a particular from Sub-Saharan region in Africa. Pain. We've seen people being kicked and beaten up in the streets. If you watch the videos, we have seen people being abused and harassed. Women, we see really people crying in pain, and things are not good. Some of their business are being left in tatters. We are seeing really a lot of aggression and violence being emitted on a section of these people just by a mere statement from a leader who should have really guarded the interest of these people. And so this is not the kind of leadership we need in Africa, and not just in Africa. This is not the kind of the leadership we need in the world, and this kind of leadership is completely irresponsible. It is completely irresponsible, and anybody who cares needs to come out and condemn it with the strongest terms possible. Because if other countries are to take such similar route, then what will happen to really people? It is going to create a lot of havoc. So this, in a sense, is bringing up xenophobia, characteristics and behavior, and we have seen this happening in some other part of countries sometimes back, and this has always been recurrent. We have seen this happening in countries such as South Africa, where xenophobia kind of behavior has always emerged, and this has always left really the country in pain, and people who could be brothers and sisters, though in other from other countries, in pain. So this is not healthy for Africa, and is not healthy for the people of Africa, unfortunately coming from the African part of African leadership. And so there are theories and criticism that is suggesting that Mr. Said, the president of Tunisia, has done this as a way of diversion tactics, because the background of some of this statement, if we go by this kind of theory, is that when the president took over the leadership of this country, he promised the people of Tunisia that he's going to really provide a democratic kind of leadership, where he's not going to harass people and become a dictator. And so people bought into that statement. And remember the background of the Arab region, the Arab people in Africa. There's the Arab Spring that came up, and people, the leadership were being dethroned, and so it appears somehow he has survived, and he has survived so far. But lately there are a lot of criticism where he is concerned, and the opposition is really on his case, and so he is doing all he can to suppress the opposition, and I think he is using this issue of this statement that is profiling the people from sub-Saharan region as a tactic or a diversion tool, so that now the people will look at the problems that are happening and the things that he's perpetrating in the country, or the kind of the bad leadership that is coming from him, as things that are being caused by the foreigners and not necessarily the real problem that the people of Tunisia are seeing that he is perpetrating. So that is the background, and that is not really good and healthy for him. So in my own view, he's not supposed to really find an escape route by bringing or profiling the very, very people who are there even to support their country, because most of people who are there from Saharan region, they are really either they are working, or they are in business, or they're expatriates there who are working. They are people who are there working for various kind of embassies from the Saharan region, and so it's quite unfortunate. Now, this is my expectation. I expect that the African Union, the AU organization, would come out strong and very firm on this issue. If possible, even issue out sanctions on Tunisia's leadership or the current president. Because if this doesn't happen, and the AU should not wait for the Western countries to speak against this. After all, it is even the other media who are really bringing it to the limelight of the world, not necessarily the media within the African region, but is media from other places. So my expectation is that the AU will not blink their eye where this is concerned. They're going to engage the leadership of Tunisia, and they're going to make it very clear that this is unacceptable and it has to be stopped. The statement has to be withdrawn, and an apology issued, and these people given a very good environment so that they can work and they can do what they have been doing. So AU has to come out and speak. Of course, we appreciate organizations such as Amnesty International. They have already come out and they have condemned the issue. That is a plus. And we are expecting other strong bodies to come and talk about this issue. And apart from the AU, I'm expecting also the leadership of these other African countries, especially from the sub-Saharan region, to come out strong and condemn this issue and speak against this issue. Otherwise, it may look, the way it looks like, we may underestimate it, but eventually it may breed to another bigger monster in the continent that may cost the continent. So let us just hope that the people that need to intervene are going to intervene, and they're going to do the right thing. And to the president of Tunisia, he needs to take up responsibility. He needs to know he is a leader. He is not entitled to speak recklessly, especially a speech that at the end of the day will polarize his country and polarize Africa. This is unacceptable, and it is not good leadership. It is toxic leadership that needs to be condemned, and we stand to condemn it without a blink of an eye. So the King bless Africa, and we hope leaders such as Mr. Said, they are going to do the right thing, and they are going to